This is your guide to relating, dating, and mating. Welcome back to Solo in the City. Erica, we have Heidi Hollinger joining us today. She is a world-renowned political photographer, and she's traveled extensively photographing world leaders and as well hosted a TV show called Porte d'Attache. So if nobody knows about long-distance dating, or if anybody knows about long-distance dating, it would definitely be Heidi Hollinger. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Erica.
Hi there.
So, okay, you host this show. You also had a long-distance relationship, which started many, many years ago in Russia, and then you moved back to Montreal, and then you continued it a little bit. Tell us, do you think long-distance relationships can actually work?
It depends. I think it really depends what your situation is, how old you are, what you're juggling at the time. So, for example, my first long-distance relationship was in Russia. I went there for the first time in 1989. I met this guy who I thought was drop-dead gorgeous in Sochi, which nobody ever heard of at the time. And so I invited him to Montreal, and I thought it was a great idea. But after having him in Montreal for a day, I realized that this was not a good idea.
Can we get a one-way ticket back?
That's not a long-distance relationship. That's like, well, it's kind of like a quickie, but it's not.
Right. So basically, as far as long-distance relationships go, what makes them difficult is that I feel in any relationship it takes a long time to get to know somebody. Let's say 6 months. And if you're having a long distance relationship, it makes that time a lot longer. It stretches out.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. That's a great point.
You really can't get to know anybody that well if you meet them and if you see them on rare occasions.
Well, the difference is also, though, I want to actually touch on this because you're talking about in 1989, I think you said, and now we're in 2016, and the difference is that a lot of people say, well, I can speak to them and see them every single day. We FaceTime, we may not be able to touch each other, but we can develop a relationship one-on-one, eye-to-eye contact, which you couldn't do then.
Absolutely.
Right? That it does make a difference in the way you can connect with a person long distance.
That is true, because if I'm going to another long distance relationship, which was in 1995, I used to get love faxes.
Love faxes. What are those?
Yeah, what
Today
is
we
a
get
fax?
love texts, love emojis.
Yeah,
Love
Snapchat
Instagrams.
Snapchat, because they can disappear as fast as your relationship can in some cases, right? Send a love letter, boof, it's gone.
Yeah, so the fax was a big step up from snail mail, but still, yeah, it definitely took a long time to get to know somebody. But I agree, and in this day and age, definitely you can keep the connection while you're away.
And when you do meet somebody long distance and they come here, I met somebody who lived in New York, and we met and it was instant chemistry, but then the minute they came onto soil, like into my territory, you really have to kind of juggle that right away. And the question is, for a lot of people, well, they're coming here, we haven't been intimate yet. What is the expectations, right? Because you have to kickstart a relationship and you only have a weekend. What do you do with that? Does he stay in a hotel? Is he staying with you? How would you handle something like that, Heidi?
Well, I would definitely get someone to stay in a hotel if I had not been with them for very long. And also the fact that I have kids and I would not want to introduce them to the kids too early.
Well, would you start? So you've done it in the past. Do you think you would enter into a long distance relationship now, or are you focused Montreal, I want a relationship here, I want somebody in my life every day?
Well, I am in a relationship right now, so I do not
and
want
he's
any
wonderful.
other relationship. And he's wonderful. I love you, babe. But right now, for example, if my boyfriend lived away, I would find it very difficult because I have kids, I have a job here, and I find that at different points in your life, it's more difficult to have a long distance relationship.
I don't think it's something you choose if given the choice. I think long distance relationships are just something that happens. You meet someone on vacation, you meet someone in a chance encounter. But as I said to you, Cheryl, I think that there comes a point where you have to decide. You ride it out till we figure things out. But I don't think it's sustainable for years on end. I mean, someone has to eventually decide either we're going to get together or this isn't going to work.
Right.
You
And
know?
and I can say from my own experience, because I was in one long distance relationship for a whole year actually. And it was interesting because at the beginning I was very direct. I am, looking for somebody to be in my life on a daily basis. And their response was, well, I can move here. And then you find out it's not so easy. And especially, long distance, when there's an hourly time difference, first of all, makes it very challenging. Like I was saying earlier on in the show, if you're dealing with somebody in Europe or even California, you've got 3 hours difference. I have hard enough time contacting my brother sometimes and finding the right time to speak to them. A relationship, you want to make sure you can connect, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, but we also have Canada, US. And that alone is very difficult because it's not so easy for somebody from the US to move to Canada or us Canadians to move there.
When I was doing my TV show, and about 5 years ago, I had a long distance relationship with somebody from Paris. And I have to say that I did 13 cities. We taped 13 cities in 1 year. And in between, I was going back and forth to Paris. That was extremely draining. Yeah. And I wouldn't do that again.
That's Heidi Hollinger is telling us about her voyages and a couple of relationships that she had while she was doing her TV show Parc d'Attache. And that must have been exciting also, though, because you do meet a lot of different people and you have to decipher, well, is this somebody that I could actually, create a relationship with and want to move forward? Because you met so many people during that travel, right?
Yeah. Well, in 2010, I was dating somebody from Paris, and it was somebody that I had met in Montreal, and it was through common friends. So I also find that is a way to get to know somebody well, to see who their friends are. It's different if you just meet somebody on a vacation, and then you come home, and then you don't know much about them.
I mean, I can appreciate how a little bit. I mean, I know how I feel when my husband goes out of town for like 4 days, and the passion is hot when he comes back, right? As we spoke about, at least for myself, absent does make the heart grow fonder. So I can understand at the beginning when it's haven't seen this person and the connection when you see each other. But then I think also, it's like you said, Heidi, how do you feel when they actually come into your world? I think that's a whole different,
thing.
ball game than like we're together, we see each other, and then they come into my life, my space, my friends, my territory. Do we really connect? Do we really have something?
Well, there's also a sense of responsibility there, because I know for myself, somebody is moving, and we're talking about moving for us to my city. And then when they're here, they don't necessarily have, the work to go to. They don't have their friends. They don't have their activities that they're normally doing. So there's a sense of responsibility. And I know other people, friends of mine who live in New York and one who lives in Florida, they experience the same thing. And one in Manhattan is a man, and he had a woman that ended up moving there. And he said, you can move here if you want, but understand, I can't be your whole life. Like I need you to be independent, because that's part of.
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, that is
independent women.
100%. That's very much part of it. But you can be independent within a relationship. But you also, if you're in a strange city that's not yours and you don't have your friends, you're relying on the other person to make all the activities and the plans for you. Because, right?
Depends. I totally agree with you, but it depends what kind of person you are. Because somebody could be very débrouillard and
that's 100%, but it's not the most case. I mean, you do have that every once in a while, and maybe the more time that they spend here. But when they're coming in, and especially when they're coming in for a weekend, you're still not necessarily living the reality, as Erica, you keep talking about, because the reality
I don't think you're ever living the reality till it's 24/7. That's just my humble opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, they could be here for a week, but the fact is, for that week, you're still, as you said, you're getting together. There's all this passion. You have this sexual desire and this chemistry going on, and a lot of people might spend 2 days in bed before they turn around and venture out into the city, and then it's like, now what do you do, right? Your friends are busy doing their thing. They don't know how to connect either, because there is friends, and at our stage also children to think about in this.
Yeah, they could be a fish out of water, and then you don't actually get to see them for who they are in their environment and what they are like.
Well, that's one very important part, actually, that I believe in, is that if you are entering in a long distance, they could come here, but then you have to get on a plane or drive or get on a bike, whatever mode of transportation you're going to use, and go see them in their environment. Anyway, Heidi, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's always fun to have you on the show and also learn a little bit more about Heidi Hollinger, the photographer, True Life.
Thank you, ladies.
I'd love some photography tips.
I'll be back.
I love that too.
Anyway, coming up next on Solo in the Cities Roundtable, or as what we're calling it now, the Love Table, we're going to be talking about who can go the distance in long-distance relationships. You're listening to Solo in the City on CJAD 800.